Hello, my name's Greg Soulsby, and in this screencast I'm going to walk through the process of using the Upkeeper policy retention tool to score some policies due for renewal by their propensity to lapse. Now, the intention of this is to allow the broker, the insurance broker, to prioritise policies most likely to lapse for special attention in the renewal cycle. We'd hope, let's say, for example, you've got 15% lapse rate, 85% retention. We'd hope that using a tool like this, you should certainly get 1 or 2 percentage points off your lapse rate, and compounding over time, we'd hope that make a very big difference to your business. So let's have a look at the overview of the process. We've got three players in this game: the client, the insurance broker, and the Upkeeper tool. So, a simple process. We start by creating a spreadsheet of the historic data. I'm going to assume that you've seen the prior screencast to this about the policy or the methodology that we used to develop the scoring models, and you'll know from that we need historic data of both lapsed and current policies, unlapsed policies, renewed policies, as well obviously as the policies you want to score, ones that are coming up for renewal. Then there's a process of uploading that to Upkeeper. Upkeeper will score propensity to lapse, make that available for download. Once the broker has the data, they select which policies are priorities for special treatment, and they pass that list to their mailhouse, to their call centre, their branch, wherever the special treatment is to be executed. And we would hope, as I said, to be able to reduce our lapsing rate by at least a couple of % through that process. So let's start at the beginning and have a look at how to go about creating a spreadsheet. So here's my input spreadsheet. In this first column here, I've got the model ID. In the first loop through that, through this process, we'll leave that blank. Later on, if we want to rerun the process and score some more policies, we can put the model ID in there, and Upkeeper will use that model to score the policy. Now the first column here with real data in it, column B, the outcome code. As we know, we need a sample of lapsed policies, and we need a sample of policies that have been through the renewal cycle successfully. We need as many as we can get up to a point in terms of sample size. Perhaps 10,000 might start to see diminishing returns. A minimum might be a couple of hundred of each, but we certainly would like to see 1,000 of each if we could. Once we've categorised them, we've got the categories there. Now let's have a look at their first set of attributes about the policy. First group here is the dates. Right? You might have when they were quoted, when they purchased, when they paid, and the day they went on cover. And I'd expect you to have the renewal date, either the past one that didn't work or the one that did work. And the point I'd like to make is that these, if you haven't got this data, there's some of these columns you don't have. No particular matter. The more information you can throw at Upkeeper, the more likely it is to find some useful information, some useful statistics to add to the model. But if we haven't got the data, then we haven't got the data, and things will still work fine, just with less lift. Okay, now we come to some information here about the product. Obviously this is private motor, but we do need to know what the product code is. You can, in any of these codes, you can use your own value. In the cover type here, this is comprehensive and third party, so this is the primary level of product. It's a subtype of product, if you like. Obviously, we're interested in the sum insured. If they've got other products, this has been coded for household. Geographic and region kind of information. This might be your branch number even, but certainly geographical information is helpful. The channels can be very important. Web, branch, call center, all very of relevance when you're trying to understand who's most likely to lapse. These ID type fields, client ID, policy ID, we don't use them in processing, but you'll need to provide that in this sheet in order that you can identify which policy is which on the when you get back in again. Obviously not so important on these historic records, but you'll need some identifier on your policies that you want scored, the ones that are up for renewal. We've got some more financial information here. The current premium and the premium in the year before that. Any endorsements, some of the endorsements, a lot of people keep that on their system. And if we know the margins or the profitability, that's also very interesting. Payment method, people pay on credit card, different people pay on debit card, who sold them the policy, what campaign they came through. A lot of brokers don't seem to keep that kind of information, but if you've got it, it's very helpful. Now this address code is an interesting one. Obviously, if a household has more than one policy, they're more likely to be sticky. The more policies you can sell them, the better in terms of stickiness. So I'm just going to, but we definitely do not want any identifiable information, identifying information in the file. So very important that we obfuscate or hide the household information. So if you've got a way of uniquely identifying a household, that's great. But I'll just quickly show you what I've done in this case as a technique. I've got some sample data here on this sheet here. Here are some unique addresses. If I take the first line of the address and the postcode, I'm going to be pretty confident that's unique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a field, a formula in this field here that concatenates with a space in the middle these two fields. I've done something wrong there. There's no times, it's ampersand. Autofill that out. Now that I've got a unique identifier, I'm going to, let me move that across. I am going to, in column G here, paste special, paste special, the values only rather than my formula. Okay, then I'm going to use the data function remove duplicates. Yes, on column G. It's telling me it's removed 3 duplicates. If I scroll down to here, we can prove that there's 3 gone missing. There they are there. Okay, so now we have unique list of addresses, and I'm going to give them an identifying number. So now the question is to be able to match 18 Smith Street with the number 1, which I'll try and show you there. Okay. So in this form row column here, I'm going to match 18 Smith Street across to number 1 using the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP, look up what? I'm going to look up this value here, D2. Where am I going to look it up? The table. Well, the table is this one. Select the whole thing. in which column, which index, that's column 2, and do I want an exact match or an approximate match? I want an exact match. Now I'll just show you a little bit of a trap here. If I autofill, I've created myself a bit of a problem down here. But as you can see, it didn't find something because I'll tell you why. And you see, as I go down, G3, G4, autofill has incremented the rows that I'm looking at in my target table. So I'm going to put $1 in there to force it not to increment. And now if I do that, we've got an exact match. So again, Control C, paste special, paste special, paste the values, not the formula, and now I've got a unique match back to from my address. So now I know 7 is 52 Smith Street, and all 7s are 52 Smith Street. So now Upkeeper can now identify which policies are at the same household, and you haven't passed us on any identifying information. Another interesting one, the underwriter, who supplied the policy, has underwritten the policy. Some information about drivers now. Are they commuting? This is typical rating factors: mileage, business, mileage, gender, date of birth, marital status, where they got their driver's license, how many drivers are on the policy. Obviously, youngest and oldest helps us identify whether it's a family or what sort of profile they have as a household. Youngest, if there's only one driver, obviously youngest and oldest will be the same. So that's a reasonable set of data there from which Upkeeper will be able to build its model. As I said, if you don't have this data, don't worry. If you've got some other interesting attributes, then by all means include them, and Upkeeper will look at them and determine if they add value or not. More than happy to chat to you about what you've got. Just make contact. Okay, so now let's talk about how to get this uploaded into Upkeeper and get our results back. And we'll do that in part 2 of this screencast. See you then.